So let us start with you. My name is Hakan Balıbey. I have a clinic in Elazığ province. So I'm retired from the training hospital. I'm going to be talking about integrating artificial intelligence into psychiatric research. A roadmap for innovation is the title of my presentation. So, of course, humanity's desire to know and the journey of searching for truth is continuing since the existence of humankind. And so, of course, there's a 21st century changing perspective on psychiatry. So we have some research difficulties and research challenges related to service provision because there's a lack of personnel and having difficulty accessing physicians. And for the research challenges, there are multifactorial nature of the diseases is the question, because it has both psychological, biological, and social facades of the diseases. And it has a spectrum characteristics, and also biological markers are not available. So these are the challenges, actually. And our field, of course, is emotion and opinion and behavior. And what we can observe is the behavior here. And the opinions and emotions are the ones that are transferred to us by the patients. So our observations and interpretations are the basis of our diagnosis. Here you can see artificial intelligence timeline. So the question is, this is actually a very exciting area. Can artificial intelligence help us? Should we be scared? Should we have trust? So there should be a balance, and there are some aspects that need to be considered. So the artificial intelligence started in 1950s with the Turing test, whether machine or human intelligence. John McCarthy is the person that coined it in the literature. And perceptron structure discovery. XOR problem being solved. And then in 2012, there's a jumping stage, especially with the COVID. The artificial intelligence became an essential element right in the middle of our lives. And because COVID, after 2019, there's a peak, actually, and then the artificial intelligence development is going rapidly, developing rapidly. So McCarthy coined actually artificial intelligence as the machines that can imitate the human behavior. So artificial intelligence research in this field can be classified as pattern recognition, classification, so disease recognition from audio, video, and other data. And also clinical decision support systems here are another category based on diagnosis and treatment. So two systems, and also explainable artificial intelligence is the third category here. So when we talk about the development of artificial intelligence, we can talk about autistic stage, statistician phase, and intuitive phases. So artificial intelligence can provide us these. This is the question. So machine learning is the starting point. Then there is the deep learning, and following that there's the neural networks that came into the scene. So the development is rapidly ongoing. So the artificial intelligence, education in artificial intelligence can be done on the basis of supervised, non-supervised. For supervised learning, the inference set is determined by users. Unsupervised learning, for unsupervised learning is uncertain, and the other one is third category is both at the same time. So classification phase here is, you can see, the unsupervised learning. So it actually attributes a meaning. And the semi-supervised learning, there's first unsupervised learning, and then the cluster is increased, the inference set is enlarged, and there comes the analysis. So the studies to classify diseases from a certain type of data. So you can see audio, video, handwriting, text, psychological scales, all kinds of medical data, social media, digital traces, gives us the follow-up possibility for psychiatric diseases, to monitor these diseases, whether it is a psychiatric or medical diseases. So they are or sometimes mixed. So what do we use as algorithms for pattern recognition and classification research? You can see the examples. For each diseases, we can apply audio, image, text data, handwriting, psychological scales and tests, and demographic information. So the pattern recognition and classification research can be done on these bases. So, for instance, for voice analysis, whether it is the rapidity, velocity, and the tone, we can make a differentiation between depression and bipolar disorder, for instance, through machine. For diagnosis of bipolar disease, we can talk about approximately 10 years. So these machine learning tools can help us gain time in that sense. Also, the words used, the context, the content, the tone of the voice, wearable technologies. So we also have a facility with these equipments to follow up. Again, the semantic analysis based on machine learning algorithm, for instance, in prodromal psychosis and normal adolescence, these are diagnoses that the studies are available, and these are the domains, the areas that should be treated further. So these are examples that I wanted to share with you. Here we can see, for instance, some studies, diagnosis of depression with magnetic resonance imaging and support vector machines. There are a lot of studies in this sense. For the neuropsychiatric studies, the field that seems the most distant looks to be the psychiatry, but because we don't have biological markers. But we should not keep ourselves distant from this field. This is how I perceive things. Again, visual analysis for child drawing development optimization algorithm based on child's cognitive development. So these are studies that are effectively making diagnosis, and also generating psychological analysis tables for children's drawings using deep learning actually provides us clear results. This is deep learning. Again, ADHD and ASD classification based on emotion recognition data. For instance, eye movement systems, following eye movements, systems that follow eye movements, that actually diagnose the ADHD and ASD. There's also handwriting-based ADHD detection. These are the diagnoses that can be done. Minimal damage, Parkinson's diseases can be estimated with a high success rate. For electronic health records, these provide us a lot of data. In our clinical application, we have monthly visits. and sometimes weekly visits, sleep timing, eating, social messaging, all of those can be observed. So as markers, these are all used where the patient is, phone applications, hedonic activities, psychomotor activities, tiredness, concentration, sleep disorders, depressive emotional states. We have ability to receive, retract information about all those. So psychometric data, biological disease detection from psychometric traits, is it possible? Yes, Mr. Azat has a study on that. Together again with COVID-19. How the health personnel was affected by COVID. What is the psychological situation? So we did a screening study on that, and we did a publication. And following that, our colleague has a PhD continuing, and we said, let us look at it from the reverse. So the psychological data cannot put out COVID-19 diagnosis. It looks like it doesn't serve a great deal at first glimpse, but it actually can. On a great rate, so we can find other biological markers. This actually shows that. So development of clinical decision support systems is another thing. So we can assist to whichever of them. Those systems can be actually developed. We also had an example put in practice. So to express themselves for patients, accessibility, facility, easiness. So also scale shortening studies can also be done. For instance, depression scale is not a question. Again, a study by Mr. Azat Hoca. It comprises of 3 or 12 questions to diagnose depression. You can ask, what should I do with this? But when we are actually obliged to apply many scales, this actually saves a lot for us. For instance, this is more practical to come up with a report with only 3 to 12 questions. And if you actually combine it with the language model, it can talk. So Professor Azat will also have a presentation here regarding that. You can also listen to that. So I already mentioned those. So there are some knowledge-based expert systems. So there are scales that consists of specific questions and scales assessing mental health. There is a lot of questions. So 550 questions cannot be actually responded by many people. It serve quite a lot for the follow-up process. So there's a problem with the following up process. And machine learning-based clinical decision support systems, if it's updated, it can enable monitorization and can be very fruitful as system. Here you can see the decision trees for the depression model. This is an example. In 3 questions, with 3 questions, it can detect the situations. I think 14 questions, right? Again, another decision tree for the risk analysis for the earthquake, for instance. What are our priorities, for instance? With a simple phone application, that can be possible to detect those. And so there's making faster decisions with less data, applicable to everyone. Any downsizing and upsizing is unnecessary. These are the advantages. And need to retest accuracy rate is the disadvantage of the psychometric data. So update is important. So this is the only disadvantage. So another group, again by Saitutun et al., So an AI-based decision support system for predicting mental health disorders. Again, with a couple of questions, they were able to diagnose. Again, for the clinical decision support systems is the domain where these can be used. Again, language models. So actually, it provides these AI algorithms offer groundbreaking opportunities for precision medicine applications in psychiatry, data collection, structuring, feature extraction and psychiatric disorder classification, potential biomarker detection, real-time monitoring, and optimal treatments are, for instance, trials and experimenting and trial processes can be prevented in that sense. So big data, it is possible to evaluate these big data in little time. Big data is not accessible by everyone, so there should be some joint networks that needs to be put in place. So research domain criteria is a field that can be used for machine learning applications. So a large amount of data used is in a platform to classify is easier. So real-time monitoring and interventions for psychiatric disorders. It is also, there are some surveys, exercise information, and this is important for the estimation of healing. And it is actively used currently. So intelligence watches, wearable tools. So here, what is important here, the ethical problems, the confidentiality issues are a problem here. Laboratory tests, MRs, visualization, MIR scans, EEG recordings, gene sequencing, mimics, and laughing, talking, tone, voice tone, and frequency. All of those can constitute data. So NeoCASPA, ribotherapy are many of the chatbots that are available. Cascar is especially useful in autism and used frequently. Siri, again, patiently assists people with autism to heal. Again, for the other activities, for instance, the Volbot, the Robotherapy, NAC, and Casper, again, important for the some bears, some Tega, Nobo, these kinds of approaches, techniques, and tools are available. So in language models, the clinical diagnosis is successfully done in autism, for instance. It can be successfully followed. What is done? There is a universe, a multidimensional universe. There are different words that are recorded, similar words, and there are some estimations and some estimations that are coming out as a result. So in the AI studies, when we are following them up, there is the importance of a consort AI. So these are the consolidated standards of reporting trials AI. The transparency is important here because this checklist enables more transparent reporting of the use of the AI ML in clinical trials, increasing the credibility of studies. In meta-analysis, as I can see, in 140 studies evaluated, downsized to 43. There are 43 criteria. Only 2 studies met these 43 criteria. So 150 did not meet those criteria. So this is kind of suspicious, and we have to take into consideration these criteria when we are reading these kind of studies. So artificial intelligence has a potential to revolutionize psychiatry, and this offers new possibilities in diagnosis, follow-up, personalized treatment approaches, and advanced therapeutic interventions. It looks like it will provide us with these novelties. Thank you very much.